Salute. How y'all doing? My name is Derrick Williams. I have met a lot of good people on YouTube, and so it is with this young lady here. This will be yet another installment of my featured channel members support video series. The title of this presentation will be called Biloxi, Mississippi's Own, and I'm just one man. In the comment section on YouTube, I want to introduce you to Felicia Lockhart, and her channel is called the Lockhart Perspective. I will be dropping her link for her YouTube channel in the description box below. And as a rule, I typically go back to people's first videos just to see their growth. Well, there was no need for me to do that with Miss Lockhart. She is seasoned in media. She's seasoned in hair. She's seasoned in a lot of stuff. She is just your Swiss Army knife. The woman she does all. She does all. And I'm just so happy to have connected with her. I can't recall who connected with who, but it doesn't matter. Just the fact is that I'm in her circle and I'm on her team. Good people. She has total command of the English language. Very well spoken. Derrick ain't like that, but I ain't as bad as Joe Biden. But this woman here, I'm just thoroughly impressed with her. And again, she from Mississippi, so I got to shout her out. All y'all take care. Greenville, Mississippi, till I die.
Good morning, YouTube. It's me, Felicia. And this is going to be a second rant in the Black family, the truth that will never be told. And today, I'm dealing specifically with Black pedophilia in the church and where it all begins. You know, a lot of times you see things about the Catholic Church, you see things about different family members. You rarely see it about the truth about Black people. And here's the reason why I think you don't see it, is because a lot of times it's not reported. It's not reported. I think more so that lately than not, you've seen some sporadic stories about it, and I'm not sure if everybody reports it or not. But I will tell you that it is so rampant in the Black community, and you wonder why you have churches that have complete mayhem. This is a very difficult and close to my heart topic for myself, because I, as a child, was molested by uncles. And, molestation is a softer word, believe it or not, than the actuality of what it is, and that's rape, okay? When somebody takes you against your will and forces you to do something or does something to you that you do not have power or the strength or the ability to say no to. When you take a child and you put them in a situation physically where they cannot rebut or physically get you off of them. For whatever the reason, I believe that it's not being talked about in the Black community until people become adults, is because when the parents know, they try to rationalize it. My mother had brothers that were absolute garbage, absolute trash. And for whatever the reason, at one point or another, we as children were left with them. Now, we each had different dads in my family. My mother had, my dad, and then they were divorced, and then she had my twin brothers and sister. They're twins, brother and sister. They had a different dad, and then the last two kids had a different dad. Now, that's not to say that people who have multiple fathers have molestation in their family, but it is to lend a little bit of understanding as to why we were not always with our mom. Now, she did have to work at one point in our lives, and I shouldn't say at one point in our lives, at all points in our lives, she had income, she did work. But we, for whatever reason, were left with her shiftless, no good, dogged brother, one in particular, in the 70s. And that was the worst experience of my life. Having that trash bag anywhere near us was an absolute nightmare. And I think, first of all, this is the first time publicly that I've actually spoken about it because of the unbelievable pain that you go through when you think about that. People don't understand how much that silence affects the child. The silence affects the child in such a way that they begin to act out in different measures, okay, in different ways. I remember as a little girl not being able to communicate with other people very well. Even though I was very talkative, I had an issue where I was not really able to tell people exactly what was going on because I actually felt guilty myself. Can you imagine being 9 or 10 years old and feeling that what some trashy ass man has done to you is your fault? That's amazing. But the problem that I have right now is the fact that although all the other pedophilia situations are becoming light right now in other areas of this world, whether they be in the Catholic Church, whether they be in the government, whether it's in school, the school systems, I don't hear enough black people being honest and telling the truth. That's because black families hide a lot of stuff. Instead of them taking those niggas out and dragging them in the middle of the street, okay, and putting them in jail, we sort of coddle them, pull them to the side. Don't tell nobody. Just keep your kids away from them. Just keep your kids away from them. Well, then what happens to the other children that are obviously going to be affected by them if they're not in the family? My second uncle that came to live with us, because the first one lived with us and he was a trash bag. He's been in prison. I just recently found out, maybe like 8 months ago, that he's been in and out of prison. Now, we all got sort of scattered after my mother died, so thank God my grandchildren and my children had nothing to do with these guys. But the one uncle has been arrested several times in Florida and in South Carolina, North Carolina, as I did a little search on him for pedophilia. But imagine what would have happened had, when I did tell my mother what a dog this guy was, what would have happened to all those other children had my mother just had his ass arrested instead of just banishing him out into the catacombs? What would have happened? Those other children probably would have been protected. So black families do not stand up and do not put those dogs away. They don't do it. We sort of just tell folks, don't go sit on Uncle Willie's lap. Don't go over to Uncle Willie's house. Girl, you know you better not let your kids go over there. What is that? What kind of social justice crap is that? Not telling and not having those dogs arrested ruined not only my life, adolescent, and other children's lives, but undoubtedly his own kids. He's got nothing but girls that I could see when I did my research on him. Okay, he's now living in a halfway house, something like that, out in North Carolina, if somebody hasn't busted his head between the time I found out where he was and now. But that is a problem that I see.